A very warm welcome to you, and thank you so much for joining our Homeopathy 24/7 podcast. We are going to be speaking to an array of international guests who will share their knowledge and experiences of homeopathy with you. We will discuss all types of subjects such as remedies, symptoms, and stories of health. No matter where you are with your homeopathic journey, we aim to inspire you on your quest to natural health and living. The podcast is brought to you by Mary Greensmith, the founder of Homeopathy 24/7, which is a global platform connecting you with a homeopath wherever you are in the world, 24 hours a day. So let's get started with today's chat. Please welcome Mary Greensmith.
Hello. Thank you for joining us. Lovely to see you. Heather Smith, thank you so much for coming in today.
Hello there. Thank you for inviting me, Mary. Lovely to be here.
I just love being able to have a homeopathic chat with homeopathic colleagues. But what brought you into homeopathy?
So it all started about 25 years ago when I had my first child. Like so many of us homeopaths, we have children and we want to look at different options for treating. And I went into our local Whole Foods shop with a little baby who was screaming with colic. And they suggested that I look at homeopathy. And I looked at homeopathy, 1 dose of colocynthus. And he was completely different. The change was miraculous for me, because it was 1 minute he was screaming his head off in pain. And the next second I gave him a remedy. And the next second he was completely fine. So that was me. I was sold on it.
It doesn't take a lot, does it? 1 tablet and that's it. Yeah. Change of whole life.
I know, exactly. And it really did change my whole life. From that moment on, I treated all the family homeopathically and told everybody I knew and everybody I met and everyone I came into contact about how wonderful homeopathy was and these miraculous things that I was seeing in my children. And that was, 25 years later, here I am.
Amazing. So did you study to be a homeopath straight away? What happened between then and now?
It was quite a while before I actually decided to bite the bullet and do my professional training. And it was actually as a result of getting Lyme disease. And when I was sort of in the middle of it and I just starting to feel like I was starting to get better, I thought I want to use this experience to help other people to get better from Lyme particularly. So I did my professional licentiate and then went on to do the degree conversion, which was where I met you, Mary.
Oh, it was.
And yes, it brought me to this place, but it was really having Lyme that was the inspiration for me going and doing the training, because I was really very seriously ill. And, it was that was really the moment where I thought, right, okay, I need to do something so that I can make sure that if I come into contact with people who are also suffering like this, I can help people see that, you don't have to be like, suffering like that. And if I can do it, anybody can. I really do believe that, and the power of homeopathy is all reaching.
So Lyme is just such a horrible thing, and we're seeing it more and more these days. So how did that affect you?
I had so many symptoms, Mary, and it started off with I had this rash on my leg, the classic bullseye rash, which around 1/3 of people get the rash, but the others, over 60% of people, don't actually have the classic bullseye rash. And I had this thing on my leg, didn't think anything of it. And I had the tick attached to my leg, didn't realise what a tick was. And then my sister saw the rash and said, oh, that looks like a warning. So I looked it up and I saw that the rash was indicated in Lyme disease. And I went to my GP and they said, oh, no, it doesn't. There's no such thing as Lyme in the UK. Have you been to America lately? So I said, no. And so I just went away, and then I went back to the GP again and said, no, this is definitely Lyme disease. And they gave me some antibiotics, and I just started getting iller and iller and iller. And it started off with a headache, which I had constantly for pretty much 2 years. And then all the other symptoms started. So I had joint pain, palpitations, heart symptoms, chronic fatigue, loss of cognitive function. So I couldn't think straight. I couldn't converse with people. I'd get my words muddled up. And I was basically in bed probably for the better half of 8 months or so, I'd say, where I just couldn't do anything. The only thing I could think to do for myself was go to the loo. I couldn't think, oh, I'm thirsty, or I'm hungry, or, you know, I need to go and cook the dinner, or, you know, nothing at all. I had a condition alongside of it called aphantasia, where you don't have any daydreams. So I didn't have any thoughts at all. So it was quite quiet in there. And it was quite overwhelming. And I felt that the word that I always say is horrific, because it was really, really horrifying. And just this overwhelming feeling of not feeling well. And I'd say to myself, I really don't feel very well. And then luckily I found homeopathy, and that was the beginning of me getting better. And I added in other things as well. So looked at my diet, looked at my personal habits, did, you know, relaxation techniques. And the other thing that I did, which I think is really important if you've got brain function problems, is that I kept on studying. I kept feeding my brain. So it felt like over time that I was rebuilding my brain. And then the homeopathy was the underlying thing, supporting my constitutional, supporting the immune system, organ supports. And, you know, it had to be attacked from lots of areas, because it attacks, it's a really opportunistic bacteria, and it can affect every organ system in the body, and it goes to your weakest point. So it affected my central nervous system, hence the 2-year headache. And it just makes you feel very, very ill, and it makes you feel like, you know, you question. And I was certainly questioning, am I actually ever going to get better from this? Because I couldn't imagine, when I felt so appalling, what was actually going to make me better.
Because, of course, there's not an awful lot that they can offer you on mainstream medicine, is there?
No. And I went to see a specialist and told him all about my case history. And he said, oh, it reads like a textbook case study on Lyme disease. And then after doing blood tests, which showed nothing, they were all negative, he was like, oh, well, you know, you've obviously had Lyme at some point, but it's gone. And let's go and do a lumbar puncture. So I said, no, I don't think so. And I went, bye-bye. And didn't go back again after that. So
Okay. Yeah. So now you're able to help other people with Lyme.
Yes. And as I said, that was why I decided that I wanted to put something back into the pot. And that's the motivation behind wanting to help people and support people with Lyme. Yeah.
Okay. So I understand that you have a Facebook group and a community growing there. So you're talking about symptoms, you're talking about remedies.
Yeah, we're talking about symptoms, remedies, and other things as well that you get alongside Lyme disease. And it's run by myself and 2 other homeopaths from the Homeopathy 24/7 team. And, you know, we talk about lots of things, anything to do with Lyme. At the moment, we're running a series of posts on the co-infections. So when you get Lyme disease, you don't only get one bacteria, you get a collective group of different bacteria and infections. And so we're running a series at the moment where one of us is talking about the bacteria, and we're describing the symptoms, and we're looking at remedies that are associated specifically with the symptoms of that particular infection. And of course, with Lyme disease, or any of the co-infections as well, because it really batters your immune system, it makes you much more susceptible to other things. And you find that, you know, things tend to go alongside Lyme disease. So you have, you know, about 90% of the population apparently have EBV, and you get a reawakening. So it might have been in remission before, you might have had symptoms. Normally it shows in puberty, EBV, and you might have a re-emergence of the symptoms of EBV. And then you have things like EDS, Guillain-Barré syndrome, all these kind of things which have similar symptoms. And because your immune system is so poor, you become much more susceptible to getting all these other things as well. So it's a real package. You don't just get one thing with Lyme, you get a wonderful package. All these, you know, it's like going to the supermarket and thinking you're going for a mango, and you come home and your basket's full of mangoes and vegetables and goodness knows what else. So it's very complex. It's very complex to treat, and it's even more complex to have it, actually, I must say.
And of course it lasts for a long time, doesn't it? You know, it's not something that comes and goes. It's something that's with you for a long time. But you've mentioned that it affects lots of different parts of the body, and lots of different symptoms come up from there. But you must see you know, a few remedies that you use quite often.
Well, there seem to be the big four that Dr. Murphy cited these for. I think it's in the third edition of his repertory. And these are the ones that again and again you see them coming up. And they're Arsenicum album, Rhus Tox, Thuja, and Merc. And these seem to be the ones that again and again I'm finding, you know, clients need these at some point. And depending on what the presentation of the Lyme and co-infections is, will of course guide us to which remedy they're going to use. So with Arsenicum album, we're looking more at the anxiety. So it's a general overreaching anxiety, and also this anxiety about your health. So the person like me, when I used to get into bed at night time, I'd go, oh, I feel so ill, I don't know if I'm ever going to get better. This anxiety about your health is really very specific to Arsenicum album. And then Rhus Tox is more about joints. And with Lyme disease, joint pain is a massive thing with Lyme disease. And that would be cracking joints, joint stiffness, and the pain in the joints is worse when you first start moving, but then once you get going, then it starts to ease off a bit, and that would tell us, yes, this is Rhus Tox that's needed for that. And then Thuja, one of the things that is very, very common with sore throats, and I've had two other family members who've also had Lyme as well, and one of them had terrible sore throat all the time, always had swollen glands constantly, and that is one of the indications that we might look at Thuja.
Okay.
And then Merc, which is the last one, it's really good for any kind of nerve disorder. So Lyme disease, where it's affected the central nervous system, and with some Lyme bacteria and some of the co-infections, you can get tremors and seizures, and that would be where we might think about going for Merc. And then another remedy that I find really, really useful in Lyme treatment is good old Nux Vomica.
Okay.
And it's a really good liver support. And I often find that I'm prescribing Nux Vomica in the early stages of treatment, because I'm finding that pretty much everyone, I think, with a chronic illness, but specifically with Lyme, comes in with leaky gut. And for people that don't know anything about leaky gut, it's the gut lining. Normally, the pathways between the gut lining and the rest of the body are tight. So you've got tight junctions here. But when you've got leaky gut, they open up like this, which means that things can go back through the gut and into the rest of the body. So if you've got Lyme and you embark on a detox program, you're detoxing all these things, it's working really well, and you get to the gut and everything goes back through and back into the bloodstream again. And so what you get is an immune reaction and a worsening of symptoms. So I'm finding that Nux Vomica is really helpful for helping to seal the leaky gut. And I'm using that a lot with clients, again, for the liver support, the leaky gut. And also the other thing that I find a lot with Lyme clients is an oversensitivity to homeopathic remedies. And of course, if somebody's reacting to everything that you're giving them, this is something that really needs to be dealt with very early on, because I can't give somebody a remedy if, you know, I even say to them Arsenicum album, they go to bed for a month.
Yeah.
So Nux Vomica is just a brilliant remedy for Lyme for those reasons. And then, you know, you give it for all these things, and you find that the oversensitivity to remedies can start to calm down, and then you can start doing a treatment. The other thing that I'm finding as well, which is really important with Lyme, is to calm the immune system down and calm the nervous system more specifically, because Lyme is such a shocking thing for the body that we go into this shock response. So I then look at the shock remedies. Invariably, it seems to be that Aconite is the one that comes up.
Mm-hmm.
And then giving a dose of Aconite just helps to calm everything down. And it's like an out breath. And you can feel the person's gone, oh, phew. And the nervous system has calmed down, and then you can go in and you can start doing things with them. It's just incredible. And then, of course, we've got our Nosodes. We've got not only Lyme and Borrelia. There's a pharmacy in Germany. Susie, one of my colleagues who's on the Lyme Facebook page, was talking about the pharmacy in Germany where they've got a Borrelia nosode, which has something like 12 different Borrelia species. So it's got 12 different types of the bacteria in the nosode. And then we've got Bartonella nosode, Babesia nosode, Mycoplasma nosode, and these are all the co-infections. And we might decide to use the nosode if there's a case that's stuck. So, you know, nothing really seems to be shifting. What am I going to do? Or you might have tried, you've got a symptom picture, and it's really, you can see what remedy it is, and you give the remedy, nothing happens. So, you know, you might use the Nosodes there. And also, if you've got a client who doesn't really have any definitive symptoms, just this overwhelming feeling, oh, I really don't feel very well, or the symptoms are not really clear,
Mm-hmm.
or there are too many symptoms. So then we might look at using the Nosodes. And also for hereditary Lyme. So Lyme can cross the placenta. And there's also research to indicate that it can be passed through breast milk. It can be sexually transmitted. It can pass through drinking raw milk from an infected animal. And, you know, it's not only ticks as well that carry the Lyme bacteria. So in hereditary conditions, we might think, let's give the Nosode, because this is, you know, it's come from, it's not a local Lyme infection, it's an inherited infection. So we might think about using the Nosodes then.
Okay.
And then, you know, prophylactically as well, you can potentially use the Nosodes as well. If you know that you're going to the New Forest or up into Scotland where Lyme is endemic, you might use the Nosode prophylactically to give you a bit of protection
Before you go.
before
Okay.
you go. Yeah.
So we're looking at a whole series of layers, really, then, aren't we?
Definitely. Yeah.
You start with a client, what they first come to, what's the worst thing for them,
Absolutely.
and you help with that.
Yeah.
That peels away and it reveals the next layer.
Exactly. Yeah.
So you go in a bit deeper.
Yeah. Like an onion. We're all little onions, little long onions. And, you know, invariably I'm finding that it is like, you know, the stomach symptoms that say, oh, this person's got leaky gut. This is the worst symptom. Let's treat that first of all.
Okay.
So yeah,
And what you're saying is each layer that you're treating is going to help the next layer work better.
yes,
Yeah.
definitely. Yeah, and it's
So,
also a signal. You
yeah,
know, once I've cleared the top layer,
yeah,
it's a signal that the immune system's waking up from this long sleep where it's been battered by the Lyme bacteria,
yeah.
and it's a signal that things are starting to work. And it's it's not a quick fix. Lyme is never going to be a quick fix. You're not going to come and see me and take one magic pill and wake up tomorrow and go skipping off, dancing.
No, unfortunately, you wouldn't be here giving a webinar if you had something like that, would you? But the thing is that we can give hope with
Oh
this,
gosh,
can't we?
absolutely, yes. I mean, I wouldn't be here. I would not be here today if it wasn't for homeopathy. And that's why I've called my website Hooray for Homeopathy. And that is so much how I feel about it. Hooray.
Yeah.
I'm so convinced that if it wasn't for homeopathy, I would not be here. I definitely wouldn't be sitting up in my chair. And I was so desperately ill. And now I'm a normal, functioning, healthy person. And I have to now, I have to treat myself how I should be treating myself anyway. I'm quite aware of my diet.
Mm-hmm.
I notice if I, don't go to bed on time for a week, I notice, but then, I don't think that's any different for anybody else.
No.
And yeah, it's quite remarkable.
And of course, going through this journey allows you to learn so much about your body and how it functions, doesn't it? And what it needs. But on your website, we'll put the link to your website underneath the details here. So on your website, you have got some case studies and information about.
I haven't got case studies so far. Thank you for the nudge.
You're welcome. We will have case studies.
I've got lots of remedy information. I've got, talking about leaky gut, talking about, oh gosh, I can't think now what I've got on the website. I've got tons of blogs on there. Tons that'll keep you busy for, a couple of days.
It sounds like a really good resource for people to go to and learn more about. And also, presumably, if people want to contact you, they can do so from there as well.
Yeah, through the website, yes. Yeah, and you can either email me if you want to learn more, or if you just want to have a chat, you can book a 15-minute chat with me. So yes, that's all done through the website.
Perfect. Well, we'll have a look at that. We'll put the link there so people can go and find out more about it. And really, the whole idea of this, us talking about this, is so that people realize and understand that there is a choice. There is something that they can be exploring, and there is something out there that can really help.
Yeah, and there is hope. I think that's the most important thing. And certainly, when I was very ill and I came into contact with a couple of people who were, fully back to normal again, it really gave me hope that I could get better as well. And one of the things that I did while I was ill was I imagined myself all the time writing on the Lyme forums, I'm better now. This is what I did. And I think, helping to keep positive, that was something that I noticed quite early on. I'd get into bed at night time and I go, oh, I really don't feel very well. Oh, I'm never going to get better. And the more I thought about it, the worse I got. So I coach people in things like that as well. And I give homework. I'm a bit of a bossy boots. So, it's an all-round thing with Lyme. You have to approach it from lots of different avenues, and you have to, I think, and I certainly had to really look at myself and really look at my life and heal the trauma. And that's where it all seems to come from. We know that as homeopaths, that illness comes from trauma. And as we peel the onion and we get deeper and deeper and deeper, we can come and we can heal that trauma. And homeopathy for me, when I was recovering, it was like a gentle, reassuring hug. That was how it felt to me when I was recovering from Lyme.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It's been so lovely just listening to your story and finding out that there are solutions out there, and that there are people out there who also have experienced it and can help as well. So we'll be putting a link to your Facebook group as well, so that people can come and join your community. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you, Mary. Thanks for having me.
You're welcome.
Yeah.
Thank you, Heather, for running through so much information about homeopathy for Lyme. It has been really, really useful. Next week, we will be talking to Caroline, and she will be telling us about homeopathy and HRT and hormones and using homeopathy. And we're just going to be learning so much about homeopathy for women going through perimenopause, menopause, and beyond. I hope you can make it.
We hope you enjoyed today's episode and look forward to listening to our next one. Please don't forget to follow our podcast on your chosen channel, and please do leave us a review so we can continue to share homeopathy with as many people as possible. If you do have any questions, please do reach out to us on any of our social platforms mentioned in the show notes. We at Homeopathy 24/7 hope to empower you on your natural health journey.